Good morning, and thank you, Mr. President. Good news is we made a lot of progress. When I joined this council 5 years ago, there was not an appetite for countywide rent stabilization. Indeed, we had never passed any form of countywide stabilization. The pandemic hit, and I'm proud that I worked with colleagues past and those who returned to pass 2 forms of temporary stabilization that helped many people in our community. The sky didn't fall. The housing market didn't collapse. And I think we need to learn from that. And that's why today we know that there are still needs, and that many of our residents, the more than a third who rent, hundreds of thousands of residents are hanging on by a thread. And $50, $75, $100 a month is literally the difference between them being able to make their rent payment and them having to move out of our county, or unfortunately in some cases face potential eviction. These are small increases to some, but life-changing increases to others. We all agree, again, more good news, that the 20, 30, 40, 50, 100% increases that we've seen over the last several years are unconscionable and wrong. We agree. The question is now, will we protect the vast majority of renters who are hanging on by a thread and cannot deal with a 5, 6, 7% increase? That's the question, because that's the majority. If you look over the last 10 years, data presented by our planning department, the average rent increase over the last 10 years in this county was 2.1%, well within the bounds of this bill. Ours is tied to the voluntary rent guidelines, which takes into account inflation and is capped at 3%. I'm always open for talking and compromise. Indeed, when Councilmember Mink, and I want to thank her, and I want to thank the county executive, I want to thank the over 20 organizations represented in this packet that was delivered that has letters of support, who have worked with us on this bill for over the last year. I think process is important here. I didn't just put the bill out I wanted. I had a bill, 5220. It changed, we compromised, we worked with the community, we worked with those who were impacted. And we worked with nonprofit developers and others as well to introduce a bill that will actually provide, Councilmember Sales said it well, meaningful protection. Meaningful protection. Affordable housing is not a nice amenity. It's a right. And everyone in our county deserves to live in safe, habitable, affordable housing. As a young child, I grew up in low-income, non-safe, non-habitable housing and had to move multiple times because of code violations and cost. It has an impact. I went to 4 schools before I was in 8th grade. It matters. Thankfully, I had a community that came around me. Those stories are happening today. It's not good for our school system when kids move from year to year. That's why MCA is supporting and SCIU. It's not good for community stability and crime prevention when there's a lot of mobility. And it's not fair to families. And so I think this act, the HOME Act, is the right bill at the right time. It allows for new construction exemptions for 10 years. It allows for a fair return. You can bank over multiple years as a developer or a landlord. It also allows protection and stability to renters. What you want is stability and protection for renters and for landlords. When you know what the rules of the road are, you can adjust and plan for them. And our 33+% of renters deserve that same stability that a homeowner has. So I want to thank Councilmember Mink, who I know will speak. I want to thank the county executive. I want to thank all the groups, all the renters, all the people who have written in and will continue to advocate. We have to make sure people know that 15, 8, 9, 10, 12, 15% is too high. It's not going to work. Last thing I'll say, absolutely, we have to produce more housing. We have to preserve existing affordable housing, but we must protect and stabilize rents. That is a key part of the 3 Ps. Okay, produce, preserve, and protect. This is a key part of it. This bill will also put money into more affordable housing with the vacancy tax. So it does a little bit of everything. It's not the only solution, but it's a key part that's been missing for far too long. Our neighbors in Prince George's County just did it. Let's have some regional consistency and join them and pass meaningful rent stabilization. Thank you, Mr. President.